little false start there. Good day there and welcome inside the Red Mile Rundown. We are on episode 30, believe it or not, of the podcast. Excited to be with you this week on the show. Lots happened around the Flames this last week. They've played 4 games, 7 of 8 points. The playoff chase is still on. Before we get too much further, though, got to welcome in my co-host, Robert Munich. How are you doing today, Robert?
I'm good. I'm still kind of recovering. I was at a friend's bachelor party in Whistler over the weekend, and my voice probably doesn't sound great right now, but we're fighting through it, and I'm happy to be here.
The hungover Robert and I are going to get into a lot this week on the show. It's been a busy week for the Flames, Robert. The 4 games, like I mentioned, they picked up almost maximum points, and they've looked pretty good in doing it. What have you made of the week we saw around the Flames here, and about what we've been able to see now? The Flames being able to rack up all these points and keep themselves very much alive in this playoff chase.
Yeah, I mean they're looking good. I mean, I would argue that they're playing some of their best hockey this season, probably outside like the first month in October. There, this has probably been their best stretch of games, and it's coming at an important time for them. And the nice thing about this kind of run of games here is that you've seen a bunch of different guys step up. So whether it's, an Adam Klapka who's got 4 goals in his last 10 games, like he's kind of come out of nowhere. Yegor Sharangovich is finally starting to turn it around thanks to eating some salmon and risotto, which is awesome to see, So like there's kind of guys stepping up here and there that haven't been in the past. And I think that's been a big reason why his team's been able to string together a lot of points here. But, once again, like you do kind of look back on a few of the games and you're like, like they let some points slip away, like in Anaheim there when they blew that 2-goal lead that they had. Like that was really, really tough. And losing to Vegas in overtime, and thinking back to the Dallas game in Edmonton, like, man, those are like 6-7 points that they had. Like they could have had those points, and man, would that have made a difference right now. But no, you're happy with the compete. You're happy with the fight, and yeah, man, they're playing some good hockey right now. You got to give them lots of credit.
It's funny we could talk about these games and break down these games and talk about the scores and the results and the playoff race, but I think the biggest topic around the Flames right now is actually who's not playing. I think it's been a very polarizing topic around Zayne Parekh. Should he play? Should he not play? We saw Twitter beasts going back and forth. We've seen podcasts call people stupid for thinking one way or the other. So I want to ask you, Robert, where do you land on playing or not playing Zayne Parekh? What the Flames' decision is? Do you understand where Husk is coming from? And what would you do then if you were the coach here?
Listen, I mean, I understand both sides of the story. Like I get it where both people are coming from. The way I see it though is, you always hear Craig Conroy in his interviews. He's always talking about, my job is to make the team better every single day. Like that is my job as GM, is like, I need to make the Calgary Flames a better hockey team. And, you bring Zayne Parekh in, you call him up from Saginaw, and I think he makes your team better. I really do. I think right now, even as a 19-year-old, even as a guy who's only played against junior competition, I still think that he is a better player than a Braden Pahal, for example. I really believe that he is an upgrade on that player. And I don't think it's asking too much of Zayne Parekh to put him in the lineup as the number 6 defenseman, to play on your second power play unit and play sheltered minutes at 5-on-5. That's not asking a lot. Like, I keep hearing these arguments that, like, you're expecting Zayne Parekh to go in and be the savior. What are you talking about, be the savior? Like, that is a ridiculous thing to say. All Flames fans are wanting is to have this guy, like I said, in that sheltered role, number 6 defenseman, put him on the power play where he can help score goals for a team that's really struggles to score goals, and maybe even like a 3-on-3 overtime situation where, he can go out there and he can give you that element of speed and skill that the Flames back end really lacks right now. So you look at the issues of this team, it's puck moving, it's power play, it's creativity, it's generating offense. What does Zayne Parekh do? What is Zayne Parekh's skill set? It's creating offense. It's everything that I just listed off there. and he does it at an elite level. I don't understand why people are so scared to play this guy. You look around the NHL right now, young players are thriving. Young players are getting opportunities, 18, 19, 20-year-olds getting opportunities left, right, and center. We're seeing it tonight with Ivan Demidov, who's gone out and just absolutely lit up the Chicago Blackhawks in the first period.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's insane. And the other argument that just drives me nuts is people say, well, what message does that send to your room? To put in a 19-year-old who hasn't been here, what kind of messages does that send to the veterans? It says that you're trying to help them win because he's better than a Braden Pahal. John, you think so? Ryan Huska comes in and reads the lineup and says, "Hey, Zayne Parekh, you're in. Braden Pahal, you're out." You think Nazem Kadri and Mackenzie Weegar and Dustin Wolf, all these guys that have got the Flames to this point, are going to go, "Are you kidding me, Husk? You're going to sit Braden Pahal over Zayne Parekh? Like, this is a travesty. This is a joke. You're going to sit
mutiny
Pahal? Give me a fucking break. Come on." Like, I cannot believe it, dude. It's just a crazy argument. I totally think Parekh should be in. Look at the records he set in the OHL. He's doing things that only Bobby Orr has done, for Christ's sake. Put the kid in the lineup. I really wish he made his NHL debut at the Saddle Dome, either against Minnesota or San Jose. That would have been so cool. The building would have been electric.
Yeah.
Just like Montreal tonight. I am so on the side of playing Zayne Parekh that it's not even funny, and I'm quite passionate about it, as you can tell. So yeah, I would love to see the kid play. I think he's uber talented, uber skilled, but if you put him in a situation where you put him in a place to succeed, I think he'd be totally fine at the NHL level. So that's my early rant here to start the show.
Yeah, you and I are very much on the same page on this topic, because I agree with a lot of what you just said there. And I want to take another step at this as well. Is people are coming at me on Twitter and stuff like that, and we're trying to have a good conversation about Zayne Parekh. And I hear all the time as well, what happens if he makes a turnover or a negative play? How's that going to affect his confidence? Have you met Zayne Parekh? Have you listened to any of his interviews? This kid oozes confidence. This guy is borderline cocky. This guy knows what he can do. He knows his skill set. He knows what it's going to take to be successful at what he does. And if you make a turnover or you make a bad play or a bad read and it ends up in the back of your net, he's not going to shatter this guy's confidence. It's a learning experience for this guy. We're seeing these veterans. Rasmus Anderson is probably the biggest victim of this. We're seeing these veterans make some really bad reads in their own zone, making incredibly bad turnovers. That first San Jose goal yesterday on Sunday, that came off a turnover, and it came off a bad read from both defensemen. And Anderson and Ball got caught watching while Toffoli was able to walk in there and score a goal. So his confidence is what you need in this lineup. His skill set's what you need in this lineup. And you put him in here to play and to learn and to grow with this organization. He's not the savior. He's not going to just throw the team on his back and Bobby Orr this Flames team to a Stanley Cup final. But what he brings is something that the Flames lack on the back end, in my opinion, is skill. All due respect to what Weegar brings, what Anderson brings, none of these guys are as skilled as this kid is. None of these guys skate as well as this kid does. And if he doesn't have a good game in one game, there's nothing stopping for bringing and taking him out for the next game and letting somebody else go into the lineup and play well. It's as hockey fans, it has to be one way or another. Every player has to fit in one category or another. And that's not how it is. There's a lot of gray areas around these prospects. There's a lot of different ways to handle a prospect. And each prospect that comes through any organization is going to be at a different level. We saw Demidov step in, like you mentioned, 2 points in the first period in his first couple of shifts. Boom. Awesome. We're going to see Z Boom suit up for Minnesota Wild in a game that they have to win to make the playoffs. Some prospects are built for it, some are not built for it. I think Zayne Parekh, the way that he plays, the confidence that he brings to the lineup, I think he's made for it. I think he really is. And I think he is an upgrade on a couple of the guys that have been playing for the Flames regularly here. It's incredible. And no one's right here either, right? Like, we could see Zayne Parekh go in there and fail. We could see Zayne Parekh go in there and be successful. but how do you know what you have if you don't play the guy?
Totally. And yeah, I love what you said about the confidence there. The last thing on the planet that Flames fans need to be worried about is Zayne Parekh's confidence. And the people that keep talking about that kind of stuff, they're probably the same people that said the same thing about Dustin Wolf. Oh, you can't play Wolf because you're going to shatter his confidence. You can't play Wolf with this team in front of him. Like, are you kidding me? His confidence is going to be ruined. Dustin Wolf is one of the most confident people in the National Hockey League. You hear stories like I remember on Hockey Night in Canada, Kevin Bieksa said that he played a round of golf with Dustin, and Bieksa asked him, he's like, so am I going to be seeing you a lot on Saturday nights? And Dustin Wolf was like, you betcha. Like, just super confident. Like, I'm going to be the guy. Like, you're going to be seeing me every Saturday night. You bet your sweet ass. I'm going to be playing. You know, it's the exact same thing with Zayne Parekh. I do not worry about putting him in this situation being too much too soon. I think he can totally handle it. And like you and I have just said, they're not like the Flames fans who want Zayne Parekh in the lineup are not asking him to save the season. They're not asking him to come in and all of a sudden, you know, put up over a point per game and run the first power play and play first pairing minutes. No one's asking for that. People are just saying, hey, this guy is an upgrade. This guy makes our team better in the middle of a playoff chase. This guy could help us score goals. We struggle mightily to score goals and create offense. He could help. That's all people are saying. And it's getting like the whole argument's getting totally blown out of proportion right now, I think, on both sides of the fence. And I mean, I love it. I mean, I love the spirit of debate. I think this is one of the best things about being a sports fan is that you can get passionate about these topics and you can have fun debates with people online. But yeah, this is set Flames Twitter on fire, and it has been fun to watch. But I do hope we see Zayne Parekh at some point this season. I think it'll be a lot of fun for the fans to see it, and I do think he'll make the team better as well. So yeah, man, it's super interesting. Like, when was the last time you think there was like a debate, like this hot of a debate amongst Flames fans?
Never. This debate on Zayne Parekh has overshadowed a playoff chase, has overshadowed the Flames in must-win hockey games, overshadowed the Flames facing elimination against the Sharks. Like, it's unreal that this topic is what it is. Zayne Parekh's confidence is amazing. It's infectious. You can tell in Saginaw his teammates love him. That you could tell that this guy, you know, helps guys around him. And I think it'd be a benefit to get this guy into the lineup for the Flames. It's an incredible topic. It's an incredible discussion to have on Twitter, and it's fun to have these debates and these conversations, like you mentioned on Twitter. I've never seen a topic of a player not playing be a bigger story than a playoff chase before.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, we saw it a little bit with Dustin Wolf last season when you know Jacob Markstrom would get hurt, or even Jacob Markstrom near the end of the year during when all those trade rumors, he wasn't playing all that well, and I think Flames fans really wanted to see him, but I don't even think it was to the same extent as this. Like this is pretty wild. It's been wild. It's been pretty crazy. Also, one last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, Zayne Parekh, he's said all the right things. Like, he's done a little bit of media. He said all the right things. He said, hey, if I play, great. If I don't, that's fine. Like, I'm going to be these guys' number one cheerleader. And, you know, you love to hear that from the guy. At the same time, though, like, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. Do you think him not playing, do you think it's starting to kind of piss him off a little bit? Because, like, he sees Zeev Buium, who went, 5 spots after him in the draft, who's the same age as him, is immediately going in the Minnesota Wild lineup. And, you know, you hear Bill Guerin talk about it, and he's like, yeah, 100% Zeev's going in. Like, this, no doubt about it. We're in the fight for our lives here for a playoff spot, but Zeev's going in. Like, do you think Zayne sees that and goes like, well, if he's playing, like, why am I not playing? Like, this is BS. Or do you think he gets it?
A couple of things here for me. First off, Minnesota's missing Spurgeon, so it opens up a spot naturally. So I think it's a natural fit to put their guy in there. What else do they have to lose, right? Helps them save a recall spot. But I think for Zayne, it might piss him off a little bit, but that's good. That means he wants to play. The fire's there. It all depends what the messaging was from Conroy and even from Ryan Huska. What's the plan for this guy? What's the outturn? Why is he not playing? Why do we choose to play Jake Bean and Pahal on that third pair without making any changes? So for me, it's all about the messaging here, and it's all about how he's going to take that messaging. I think he's matured a lot since training camp. The way he's approached the immediate training camp to what he's approached to now, I don't see that teenager cockiness now anymore. I see a confident hockey player who's learned and matured over the course of this season. So for me, it's all about the messaging, and I think a little bit about how the Wild have a situation with injuries, so they need someone to be in their lineup. I don't know if Zayne would play if Spurgeon was 100% healthy as well. So we don't know how that's going to shake out in Minnesota. Never would. But I think we need to see Zayne Parekh because I think he's earned the shot, and I think we will see him hopefully. And we'll see what Zayne can do for the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, and like I just the reason I wonder that is just because you do talk about Zayne's attitude, and like we say, he's a very confident kid. Like I wonder if he's watching from above, going like really, like I'm not playing over a couple of these guys that I'm watching. Like even you see a guy like Rasmus Anderson, who's probably based off the eye test, he's got to be playing at like 50% right now. Like he's really, really struggling out there. Physically he's not moving around as well as he once was. He's not quite as physical. He's turning the puck over, lots of bad reads in the defensive zone. Like you wonder if Zayne's seeing that, and it's like how am I not playing over a guy like him or Pahal right now? Like that's just kind of the guy he is, right? Like he's uber confident, really believes in himself. So you just got to be careful with those things sometimes. Like this is a guy who's hopefully going to be a cornerstone piece of your franchise moving forward. You don't want to piss him off, in your first year of having him in your organization. I'm curious, based off what you've seen of Parekh, just like in junior hockey and in other places, what do you think like his ceiling is in the NHL? Like, do you think he's like an Erik Karlsson? Do you think he's more like, could he be like a Makar Hughes? Could he be like a Fox? Like, I guess, like, do you have like a comparison? Do you what do you think he could be at the kind of the peak in the NHL in his career?
That's a really good question. Because you don't want to set the bar too high, but you also don't want to disrespect the guy. I think he has the ability to be a Makar light style. So I'm not saying he's going to be Makar 30 goals, going to be able to go up and down the ice like Makar does, but I think he has the ability to run your first unit power play, to be a guy in your top four that you can count on, to be also good defensively. He can skate with the puck very well. He can move the puck really, really well. So I wonder if he fits into that Makar Hughes light situation there. I don't think he's going to be as elite as those two guys are because that's really, really high bar. But I also don't want to disrespect him. So I think he has the potential to get up there as a player who can play on that top power play, help in that top four. I think he's a really good guy to have move that puck along and to help spur that offense. If he can get his defensive game a little bit stronger, as that's what everyone likes to talk about with him, is that's the weak part of his game. It's come a long way in Saginaw this year from what I've watched. If you can just get that a little bit stronger, I think he has a really good opportunity to be a nice top four defenseman who can help out your team there. So I'm a Makar light type situation for me.
Yeah. I just think it's interesting because, in my opinion, like the range of outcomes when it comes to Parekh, I think is massive. Like I really believe that, like you said, I think he could potentially one day be in that kind of Norris conversation, which would be fantastic. But I could also see him kind of just being like a pure offensive specialist if he isn't able to kind of figure out the defensive side of things. So it's like, are you gonna get Shane Gostisbehere, or are you gonna get Cale Makar? You know what I mean? I think he's trending towards being the higher end kind of first pairing guy. If I had to put like an NHL comparison to him, I think the one for me would probably be Adam Fox. I think they're very similar players. Like
I like that.
Like you watch Adam Fox like walk the blue line on the power play. He kind of does it similarly to Parekh. They're not the most physical guys. They're not the biggest guys out there, but like they're just so skilled and such good skaters that they're able to, really dominate the competition. And Fox is one of Norris. So, I mean, that's a pretty nice comparison to have there. But yeah, I thought it'd be interesting just to kind of throw out some different comparables there. Cause he's a fascinating guy to watch, man.
Yeah.
Cause it could go like really, really well. He could be like a Norris guy, or he could be like just that kind of offensive specialist. It'll be fascinating to see how that development all plays out over the next like 5 to 10 years here.
It has been since Matthew Tkachuk, since the Flames have had a prospect with this much fanfare around him, this much hype around him. Maybe Dustin Wolf fits in that category as well, but as a skater, I don't think we've talked about a prospect this much since Matthew Tkachuk was selected 6th overall back in the day for the Flames. Let's get back to talking about the current guys who are playing in the lineup, because you sent me a list of a few guys you wanted to talk about over the course of this last week or so. These guys have really started to blossom here. We saw a really strong game last night from that Coleman Backlund combination with Coronado getting that insurance goal. Some of these Flames are playing some really, really, really good hockey. And it starts with, for me, with a guy that's got elevated in the lineup, a guy who's taken his role. He must have listened to the podcast when we said that the fourth line wasn't doing very much, because he took that to heart. He started scoring goals. He started playing with a little bit of more size, using his feet. What have you made of Adam Klapka in his game? He's been first line minutes for the last few games here. He had a nice goal after a nice, beautiful play by Nazem Kadri against San Jose. Adam Klapka has really come along in his game, using his size a lot more, his skating. What have you made, Robert, of Adam Klapka up on that first line with Huberdeau and Kadri? Don't forget to unmute yourself.
My bad there. Yeah, dude, I've liked him a lot. You know, if you would have told me at the beginning of the season that in the middle of a playoff chase in, you know, the most important games of the season, that Adam Klapka would be playing with Nazem Kadri and Jonathan Huberdeau, I would have been like, you're crazy. Like I would not have believed it, but he's doing it. He's there. He's doing it. He's scoring goals. Like he's got 7 points in his last 11 games. Like Adam Klapka has more points in the last 11 games than Jonathan Huberdeau does. Like how wild is that? He scored 4 goals, crazy. 3 assists. He's got 10 penalty minutes. He's got 21 shots on net, which is pretty solid. 21 shots on net. That's good for 7th on the team during that time. Like he's just been really effective. And I like the way you said it there. He's doing a really good job using his size. Like you see him on the forecheck. He's an intimidating presence. Like in the San Jose game, he had this one hit on a San Jose defender where he just absolutely obliterated him. I forget who the defenseman was, but you could tell like he was laboring after for a while. And I guarantee you that when that defenseman was going back to pick up pucks and move it out of his zone, he was second guessing things because Adam Klapka hit him so hard there. And he's just got to keep doing that. He's got to keep taking advantage of that reach, keep being physical, keep going to the net. You know, let Nazem Kadri, Jonathan Huberdeau make plays, and you go to that front of the net and you battle and you screen and you get your stick in open positions to let Kadri and Huberdeau find you. And he's kind of doing just exactly that. He's, like I said, like he's one of those guys who's really stepped up here in the middle of a playoff chase, and he's been a pretty important player.
Yeah, like he uses his size, but he also uses his feet. I think that's one of the things people look at Klapka and are like, oh, there's this big lumbering guy who, no, this guy's quick for his size. He's got good boots. He knows where to go. He's using his size and he's finishing his opportunities and his chances. A lot of credit goes to Nazem Kadri playing with these younger players and helping their games develop a little bit. He's kind of like this unofficial player development guy on the Flames. And Adam Klapka is just the next in that long list of players to play with Nazem Kadri and find success. They're going to need him to keep going here if they're going to be more successful down the stretch here. Another guy who seemed to have found a little bit of success here for the Flames, switching his pregame meal from chicken to salmon. I'm a salmon fan, so I like the switch from Yegor Sharangovich, and he's scored a goal in every game since his wife made him switch meals here. What have you made of Sharangovich? It might be too little too late here for this player, but he's really turned around the season in the last couple of weeks here, coming on strong and being able to provide some offense for the Flames, because that was a very nice goal he got yesterday, his first one, not the empty net one. What have you made of Sharangovich and his switch from chicken to salmon?
Well, it's been a bit of a game changer, hey? I mean, he's got 5 goals in his last 10 games to be on that kind of 40 goal pace. That's absolutely huge for this team. Like we were talking about in the Parekh discussion there, this team really struggles to score goals, and when you can have your, who's supposed to be a 25, 30 goal sniper actually produce to that rate or better, it's a game changer for this team. And yeah, he's started to look a little more engaged. He's getting more shots off. There was a point there I would say kind of February to kind of the middle of March, where Sharangovich, like, he was having a hard time shooting the puck. Like he couldn't even get shots off. He wasn't shooting on the power play though. The one timer completely disappeared from his game. That impressive wrist shot completely disappeared from his game. But now you're starting to see it. Like, he got a couple like pretty good looks yesterday. He scored on one of them. It's big, and I think the best thing about this, about his kind of increased play here, is that we know it's there now. Like, it's not just like, okay, last season was a one-hit wonder. You see it kind of starting to come back in, and you're like, okay, like, it's good. He's slowly starting to find his game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that kind of reassures Craig Conroy and Ryan Huska heading into next year that, like, hey, you know, maybe now he's feeling better. Maybe now he's like a little more confident, a little more healthy. This is kind of the game he's giving us now. You know, maybe we don't need to worry too much about that contract anymore, because it kicks in next season. It doesn't even kick in this year. So yeah, man, he's been really good. He's been an absolutely key cog in the Flames' impressive string of games here lately, and hopefully he can keep it up now and bring it into next year as well.
And I think we're seeing the effects of Sharangovich getting going here, that Morgan Frost has seemed to have found something with Sharangovich here. It's kind of like Morgan Frost now has an outlet on that line. He's still not getting his offense coming through here, and we can talk about Frost a little bit later here. But Sharangovich really pushing along here and getting goals for the Flames is really going to help them with this team that doesn't score. We've seen them score 3 or more goals now a lot more often this last little while. Sharangovich is a big part of that. Since the Four Nations break, Robert, we've seen 2 players, I think, really come back to where they were and what they are as players and what we've known them to be. Talking about Michael Backlund and Blake Coleman, I don't think any 2 Flames have been better since the Four Nations break from what we expect to the player and what we actually see from the players. Michael Backlund looks very much rejuvenated these last few weeks here. Blake Coleman continues to do what Blake Coleman does. And there's a little guy that they play with by the name of Matt Coronado that seems to be reaping a ton of benefits playing with these 2 guys again. What have you made of this line, Robert, on a whole here, with Coronado scoring goals, Backlund seeming to be very much closer to what we've known from Michael Backlund to be, and of course Coleman doing what Coleman does?
Yeah, you know, I don't know, me personally, I don't know if I'd go back as far as the Four Nations break. For me, it feels like, you know, maybe like the last 3 weeks or so. I would say the Backlund, Coleman, Coronado group has really started to pick it up, especially Backlund. Because I mean, I thought he was really struggling there. It looks like the injury was really taking a toll on him. And, you know, I don't know if he's feeling a lot better now, or if they're, you know, putting a ton of pain meds and shooting him up like crazy. I don't know what it is, but keep doing what they're doing, because he's been fantastic. And that's honestly like one of those lines, the Backlund, Coleman, Coronado line. That's one that you might just kind of set and forget moving forward, even in the next season, if all 3 of those guys are back, mainly Backlund and Coleman. Because, man, they work so well off each other. You got like the 2 workhorses in Coleman and Backlund. You got the finisher and offensive driver, Coronado. You know, you got the veterans teaching the young player how to play. Like, it's a really effective line. And when you take a look at all the analytics and the underlying numbers, they're by far the Flames' best forward line when it just comes to shot metrics, and they do it against the best competition out there. So it's super impressive. And like I said, if I were Ryan Huska, that's a trio that I would keep together even in the next season. I would not break up that trio, because they seem to really, really work well off each other. So yeah, I've really liked their games.
I just wish Blake Coleman had a little bit more luck with reviews and waved off goals and almost goals. If he could just get a little bit of a luck in that line, I think would be very much unstoppable, because they have been playing terrific hockey this last little while. Quite like what Coronado's done with those 2 guys. He's really made his shot a focal point of his offense. That goal he scored against San Jose was absolutely incredible. Used his speed, found a soft spot in the ice, got the shot off quickly, and makes a quick read on the shot as well to put in the back of that. Tremendous from those 3 guys here. One guy who's been really good for the Flames has been Dan Vladar, working that gate, and he's been working that gate on the bench all season long, but has had a lot of practice at it the last few days because his counterpart in Dustin Wolf has taken this net over again and has gone back to what we've known from Dustin Wolf to be here. How impressed are you in these high pressure situations for the Flames that Dustin Wolf is very, I don't want to say ho-hum about it, but he's very confident and very nonchalantly gone about his work each and every game here and just allowed the Flames to get the results. How impressed are you with Dustin Wolf here in the last 3 weeks here?
Oh yeah, to be that age, for it to be your rookie season, and to play this well for this long, it's insanely impressive. I mean, you can't be anything other than impressed by Dustin Wolf, and that's like, it did look like kind of around the Four Nations, just prior to the Four Nations, it looked like he might have hit a little bit of a wall. He got lit up a little bit by the Toronto Maple Leafs and I think it was the Colorado Avalanche as well. And you didn't really know. It's like, okay, is this kind of where things start to fall off a little bit just because he is so inexperienced? But he came back from the Four Nations and he's been stellar ever since. I mean, you take a look at the counting stats, your goals against average, your save percentage, that type of stuff. Vladar's actually had better numbers recently than Wolf, but when you actually watch the games and you see the saves that Wolf is making at the times he's making them, you're just like, this guy is single-handedly keeping this team in games. Like, you go back to the 3-2 win in San Jose last Monday. San Jose had like 20 shots on net in the first period. A lot of really good looks too. Dustin Wolf absolutely shut the door. He was really good against Minnesota. I thought he was pretty solid against San Jose yesterday on Sunday night. Like, he just continues to impress. I don't know if he's going to win the Calder. I think Lane Hudson has really kind of established himself as probably the best rookie this season. But in my opinion, I think Dustin Wolf is right there as a number 2. And that's super, super impressive. So yeah. And if I'm the Flames and they're still playing in competitive games, like on Thursday in Los Angeles, if that's a must win, then 100% Dustin Wolf is playing in that game. There's no doubt about it in my mind.
So, Dan Vladar, keep working on those gate working skills because you're going to be your job for the next week because Dustin Wolf really has given the Flames all they needed in that goal there. And it's credit to what Dustin Wolf has done, taking the opportunity given to him that he was clamoring for last year, that we were clamoring for as fans to see. He's taken the opportunity and he's run with it, and he's put the Flames in a really good situation here. We've talked so much about Dustin Wolf in each and every episode that we could keep talking about him for another 3 or 4 hours because it's incredible to watch his composure, what he brings every day to the Flames organization here, and to doing it all. Think back to when you were 23. I don't think I had anywhere near the confidence that Dustin Wolf has. It's just absolutely incredible to watch here.
No, I'm right there with you. Hey, speaking of goaltending, this is probably more of like an off-season conversation, but with Dan Vladar playing better in the last month or so here, does that change your opinion at all? Because I think both you and I are on the Cooley train, but just kind of like with the way he's played here lately, does that tempt you to want to bring back Dan Vladar next year, or are you still firmly on that Devin Cooley train?
I am on the Devin Cooley train because what the Flames have also done outside in the goaltending. They've just signed another one of their big prospects out of college again. So they've signed 2 goaltenders this offseason. They signed Ignatiu last offseason. There's a plethora of goaltenders here. And so signing Dan Vladar back here really for me just muddies the water again. You have 2 seats in the NHL. You have 2 seats in the AHL. And right now you've got 7 bodies if you include Dan Vladar to fill 4 spots. Where's everyone going to play? Who's going to go where? And if you have the hopes that Devin Cooley can come in here and be a backup to Dustin Wolf, because Dustin Wolf is clear that he can be a starter in this league, I think Dan Vladar becomes redundant. All due respect to what Dan's done for the Flames, and I think it's incredible what he's done for them. I think he's earned himself another NHL contract. I just don't think it's going to be with the Flames. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm still on the Cooley train personally. I mean, I think kind of the main thing that we talked about when it comes to Dan Vladar is like, what Dan Vladar is, and he's a backup goalie, and I still believe that's the case, even though he's been putting up some really good numbers lately. he kind of tends to do this, right? Like Vladar, he'll go on these runs for 5, 6, 7 games where he'll play really, really well, and you'll go, oh my goodness, like, okay, maybe this is the kind of where he starts to turn the corner. And then he has 5 or 6 games where he kind of really tails off, and he puts up, below a 900 save percentage and, around a 3+ goals against average. That's just kind of what he is. He's just that super inconsistent guy. And he's been like that ever since he arrived in 2021. And I just don't know if I see that changing. I mean, sometimes as goalies get older and they mature, that's when they start to play a little bit better. That's when they maybe start to like fully figure out the position and how they work in it. But I still think that there's something there with Cooley. And I know his numbers have really fallen off here in the second half of the season, but I think that could be attributed to injury problems. It seemed like ever since I think he suffered a concussion, I believe it was, like in January. And ever since then, his numbers have just kind of fallen off. But prior to that, he was trending to be the MVP of the AHL. So I would like to see them give Cooley a legit chance. I think he deserves it. And you know what? If it works, then fantastic. Then you have your goaltending duo for maybe the next 3 to 5 years. If it doesn't work, then you just go out and find your next Dan Vladar, whether that's through free agency or trade. You can find lots of Dan Vladars out there. That's not an issue. But if Devin Cooley can be the guy that he was in the first half of the season, if he can translate that to the NHL level, I think that there's something there, and I think that the Flames should really explore that. So yeah, I'm still in the camp that they should move on from Dan Vladar.
Yeah, it's well, and give your guys you've drafted here, like Arsenio was a guy you drafted in the 7th round. You just signed him out of Penn State. Give him an opportunity in the AHL to blossom, because who knows? Maybe you hit gold twice in the 7th round, and he can eventually be a backup to Dustin Wolf or pair with Dustin Wolf in the National Hockey League. You have other goaltenders coming up in your system here. Give these guys opportunities. It's all about moving guys along and knowing when to cut bait. And unfortunately for Dan Vladar, it's his turn. I look at it much like when the Flames let David Riddick go. He was great for what he was asked to do for the Flames, but you knew he wasn't the long-term solution for the Flames at the same time. And that's what the Flames are at right now. They're trying to find the guy to pair with Dustin Wolf now to have a goalie tandem for the next few years. And I think Devin Cooley's turn, he's earned it, and I think it's his turn to prove it as well here.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think there's a lot of upside there with Cooley. I think there's a lot of untapped potential there. I mean, he's barely played pro hockey. Like, he has not played a whole heck of a lot of games. And I'm really curious to see what he can turn into when he does get that experience. Like, this is his first year, like, truly being a starting goalie, and it was going fantastic until the injury. So I just say, yeah, keep it going with him. And like I said, if it works, great. If it doesn't, then you move on and you find somebody else, because you got your number one.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely with you on the same page there. All right, we've glossed over a few guys here, but it's time now to do a little bit of hard hitting and wondering where a couple of guys have disappeared off to. We have to start with everyone's whipping boy from the last couple of seasons. He actually was really good so far this year, but he's kind of trailed off here. What has happened, in your opinion, to Jonathan Huberdeau? He's really slowed down here offensively. He seems to be making some errors here when he's been playing. And he's been playing with two guys who are actually playing really well in Kadri and Klapka that we talked about earlier in the podcast here. But what are you seeing from Huberdeau here? Why is he slowed down in your opinion? Because it really has fallen off the last couple of weeks for him.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. It has fallen off, unfortunately. He was on a nice pace there, especially from a goal scoring perspective. But in his last 11 games, he only has one goal. He's a -7, only has 6 points over those 11 games, and so like the stats aren't there, but also like the eye test I think backs it up too. Like when I've been watching Huberdeau for the last 11, 15 games here, the dynamic part of his game just isn't really there right now. He's not shooting the puck as much as he once was earlier in the season. I still think the passing is not there. It's nowhere really near where the Flames need it to be. And yeah, it's unfortunate because at this time of year, this is when you need your best players to step up. And Nazem Kadri has stepped up. He's got 11 points in his last 11 games. Mackenzie Weegar has been fantastic on the blue line. Matt Coronado scoring a bunch of goals. Like, the guys that you count on have been pretty solid for the Flames over this kind of stretch drive here, but Huberdeau's game's really taken a step back, unfortunately. He looks more like the Huberdeau from last year than this year. And, I find it really interesting, the whole Huberdeau discussion when it comes to the mainstream media. The mainstream media, they put out this narrative that Huberdeau's having this like massive bounce back season. Like this guy is having like a phenomenal year. Like this kind of starting to look like the Huberdeau of old. But then you go and take a look at his point totals, and he might get to 60 points if he can put up a point or two here over the last 2 games. But, say he finishes the year with 60 or 59. That's only 4 or 5 points better than his first year in Calgary. And everybody said that year was an abject failure. So I don't really understand it. Like, are there improvements in his defensive game? Sure. But he's a left winger. As a left winger, you can't have too much of an impact on the defensive side of the game. He's playing a little bit on the penalty kill. That's great. But, for $10.5 million and to know what this guy once was, I really have a difficult time saying that, this guy's had a massive bounce back season. He's been fantastic. It's like, I think it's over the top analysis. It's just complete glazing of the guy. So I don't mean to like crap on him. He's had a nice year. He's scored some big goals. He's closing in on 30 for the entire season, which is good. But I still think you want to see a little bit more from him, don't you?
I want to see him finish. It's nice to have a good 60 games or 65 games, but let's finish. And that's been a word I use on Twitter all the time when I talk about the Flames is they need to finish things, finish games, finish chances, finish power play opportunities, all that kind of stuff. And it goes for Jonathan Huberdeau as well. I like what I've seen defensively and in his 2-way game, the growth we see in there and the penalty killing he's added to his game. I like that. That's great for him. It is an improvement from what we've seen from him, but you still need him to finish. He has stopped going to the net like we saw earlier in the year, so he's not getting goals. Finish. Get yourself to that 30-goal mark. Get yourself to that 65, 70-point mark. Get closer to what you were supposed to be when the Flames gave you $1 billion to be here for 1 billion years. And that's just not seeing it from him. And it's not saying that he's not trying and he's not there competing, but he just looks like he stopped going to the net, stopped going to the hard areas. You watch him on the power play now, and he kind of like drifts off to the face-off dot and just waits for pucks to come to him, where he used to dive at those pucks, going towards the net to put them in the net to finish opportunities. I don't think it's a coincidence him slowing down offensively and the power play slowing down. I don't think that's a coincidence. I didn't do the crunching of the numbers, and that's my bad. Maybe I'll go take a look do the research. But it's really easy to say that Jonathan Huberdeau's had a big bounce back year because you saw him do a couple of extra things. And it's nice that he's added those things, but you still need Jonathan Huberdeau to finish. And that's where it comes down to me for him. So I really hope over these last 2 games for the Flames, he can find it and help this team get over the hump here. They're very much in this playoff chase. They just need a little bit of work from these guys. And he's a veteran, right? He's the type of guy that you lean on in these situations. And when you have a guy like Jonathan Huberdeau, you have these young players that look to him to help them with their games as well. So hopefully we can see a little bit more from Jonathan Huberdeau. He isn't the only player struggling on that forward group either. You gave a beautiful headline to me to put into the rundown here. The Philly trade did not work out, ... yet. What have you made of Frost and Farabee, and are you expecting more from these guys down the stretch here? Only 2 games left, but do we need more from these 2 guys? What have you made of the 2 guys we've got from Philly here?
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely need more for them, especially Joel Farabee. I mean, you take a look at the point totals, like in his last 11 games here, in these crucial 11 games for the Calgary Flames, where they played well. So, I mean, having Joel Farabee not produce has not killed them by any stretch, but you still want to see more. But in his last 11 games, he has 1 point. Like 1 point in his last 11 games. Morgan Frost doesn't have a goal. I know he scored the one, but it went off Huberdeau's pants. So, that's kind of Morgan Frost's goal. So I guess, maybe you can say he's got 1 goal in his last 11 games. But literally, combined between the 2 guys, since March 24th, the last 11 games, they have 0 goals between the 2 of them. And then you go and take a look over at Andrei Kuzmenko in LA, and he is just lighting it up there. and he's scoring highlight reel goals. He's making spectacular passes. He's just completely energizing that team and that crowd in LA. And then you watch Farabee and Frost, and it hasn't worked yet. And like I said, like the trade hasn't worked yet. I don't want to completely judge it because, those guys, they were in Philly for a long time. Based off of you listen to like their interviews and you listen to other people talk about their time in Philly, and they were like integral parts of that team from the dressing room perspective, from a culture perspective. And I think they had like a ton of like amazing relationships on that team, and to rip them out of there, pretty suddenly like they did, like to trade them during a game, that's pretty tough to say goodbye to like all your friends like that, that you've developed a relationship with over the years. It's not easy to go from that to a brand new environment, to a new conference, playing with guys that you've never played with before, trying to, become friends and develop relationships over a short period of time on a new team. Like that stuff is all tough. And I understand that. At the same time, though, like these guys are paid to produce, and these guys were brought in to be offensive players for this team. Be in that kind of play at that 35 to 50 point pace between now and the end of the season. And they honestly just haven't done it. And I think, you like what you see a little bit from Frost more than Farabee. Like you can see elements of Frost's game where you're like, okay, like the skills there, the smarts are there, but I think you want to see maybe like a little bit more killer instinct from that guy. But then with Farabee, I mean, like, he's got 6 points in 29 games as a Flame, which is, it's just straight up. It's just not good enough. I mean, that's less than a 20-point pace over 82 games. So, and, you see flashes of brilliance, like, remember that goal in Dallas for Farabee. So, you see that he's got the skill, but just hasn't really been able to put it all together yet. So, hopefully it all works out. They got to sign Frost this summer, and between Frost and Farabee, they're probably going to take up anywhere between $9 to $10 million in cap space. And when you're spending that much money on forwards, they got to produce. So hopefully they're able to turn it around as early as next season. If not, the trade actually might not work out very well for the Calgary Flames, because I mean they lose a key culture guy in Pelletier. They lose a second and a seventh round pick, and we've seen what they've been able to do with seventh round picks. It's not like those are useless picks by any stretch. And then, you also bring in those salaries for those two guys. Like that's giving up quite a bit. So, hopefully it ends up working out. But I don't know, do you see anything from their games that really excites you, that really that makes you think that, hey, these guys could be 40 to 50 point players moving forward?
I like the process from Frost, like his approach, the process. It's going there. He just needs to finish it, much like Huberdeau when I was talking about Huberdeau. But frankly, for me, Robert, it's not good enough. It's not good enough from either of these guys. They both had an opportunity, and I hate using the injury to Zari as a way to, hey guys, we need more from you, but they had an opportunity. Connor Zari was a big part of this Flames organization in the forward group for a long time this year. He got injured, and there was a space there. There was an opportunity for both of these guys to gain more minutes, to gain more responsibility, to gain a little bit more favor in the eyes of the coach, and neither guy grew their game when they had an injury to this team. They needed someone else to step up in, and it's actually, for me, Joel Farabee is scratch worthy. He's where we were at with Sharon Govich about a month ago, and everyone's calling for him to be scratch. I don't think the Flames organization, this team, would miss if Farabee was scratched against the Vegas Golden Knights on Tuesday night. I really don't think that would make a difference to the lineup. I give Frost a little bit more of a pass because he brings a lot more to the lineup. He's doing quite well in the faceoff dot. He looks good on the power play, but we still need more from him as well. It's just not good enough from either of these guys from what you paid for them and the expectations around these guys. And I'm much like you, Robert. I'm hoping that this can be a shock thing for them that they can put in the rearview mirror over the course of the offseason, going into next season, and be those 40 to 50 point guys that the Flames think that they have here in these players because they need it. They need Morgan Frost to be a middle six center for this organization. They need Joel Farabee to come in here and be a guy to provide secondary offense behind the big guys. It's needed. It's absolutely needed, and it's just not good enough. They've been here long enough, in my opinion, that they should be able to fit in by now and be able to have the opportunities in front of them to excel at those opportunities and to excel when they're put in those positions to be contributing members to the Calgary Flames. You have to be able to take advantage of that as a pro hockey player. It's just not good enough for me, and hopefully we can see these guys come around a little bit more here as well as it goes down here. Simple question for the last topic here, Robert. What's wrong with Rasmus Andersson?
I mean, he's got to be hurt, right?
It has to be, right? There's no explanation. But if he's this hurt, why are we playing him?
I mean, it's the argument, what else are you going to put in there? And then it's basically Zayne Parekh, but you don't want to put Zayne Parekh in the top 4. You don't want him playing with Kevin Ball just yet. I think that's too much too soon for him. Like, we were talking about, you got to set him up for success. By doing that, I think that's by playing him on the third pair on the right side. So, if you take Rasmus out, you don't want to replace him with Zayne Parekh. You take Rasmus out, then, you're looking at, either somebody from the minors, like a Brustevich or Solovyov, or you're looking at Daniil Miramanov. And I know Rasmus is really struggling right now. Like we all see it. We see the plus minus numbers. They're atrocious. But at the same time, what's the alternative? Even Rasmus at 50% is still probably a better player than a Daniil Miramanov. So I think that's probably the reason behind why he's still in the lineup. And, like I have all the respect in the world for the guy for playing through something like that takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of balls to do something like that. And because he's not participating in morning skates or practices, that tells me it's probably pretty serious. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a broken foot or a broken ankle or a knee injury or, a shoulder injury. Who knows? But it has come at an inopportune time. It really has, because he's a guy that this team relies on, and he just has not really been there. Like I would argue he was one of the worst players on the ice against San Jose on Sunday night. The couple goals that San Jose scored, like some pretty egregious blunders from him. And like I said, the reads are off, the battle, the compete is a little bit off, and I do think that's probably stemming from an injury. So, like I said, you don't want to take shots at a professional athlete who has a ton of pride, who's playing through probably a pretty significant injury. You don't want to take shots at the guy, but at the same time, these are critical games, and you need guys to step up. And, you look at Michael Backlund recently. Backlund's clearly playing through something, and he's been one of their best players recently. So, hopefully over these last 2 games here, Rasmus can get back to being a legit top 4 guy. But yeah, it's been pretty ugly to watch, hey?
It's really ugly to watch. Like he struggles to skate. He struggles to move the puck. He's struggling in his reads. Like we were talking about a month ago, a few episodes ago, where we were talking about how it's not good enough from Rasmus Andersson, how this guy can't be worth a long-term extension at that big price. And now we're seeing him play through something. Clearly, it's been mentioned in the media. We're seeing him not at morning skates. And it's hard to say that this guy isn't worth money now, because just watching him play through an injury, you're like, this guy's a warrior. We love seeing the tenacity from this guy. And so you're towing the line, trying not to be detrimental to the guy, but at the same time trying to call it how it is. And unfortunately, you're playing through it, and you are the best option on this team. And I'm with you on that one, Robert. I asked you the question about why is he playing then if he's this injured? But what else do the Flames have? I'm scared at any part of Miramanov seeing the Flames line up in a playoff chase, in a playoff series. And I would take 50% of Rasmus Andersson over Miramanov. It's unfortunate for Rasmus Andersson that this injury is happening right now, that he's having to play through it. And it's kind of scary to think about the Flames possibly making the playoffs here and him having to play a playoff while injured. And it's unfortunate because it's almost detrimental to having him in the lineup for the Flames. But like you mentioned, what else do you got going on here? And do does that lead then to the opportunity for the Flames to maybe play 7 defensemen and take a little bit of responsibility off of Rasmus Sanderson and bring someone else into the lineup? That's maybe a way I would go about helping Rasmus out a little bit and maybe helping the Flames out a little bit. You can take a guy, Joel Farabee, out of the lineup and put in a defenseman to help the defense along here, maybe as a way to helping Rasmus Anderson along. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but Rasmus Anderson clearly isn't correct here, and it's unfortunate for both him and the team at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that, and maybe you end up playing Braden Pahal up the lineup a little bit more. Maybe you give him, a shift every now and then with Kevin Ball. I don't think you want Braden Pahal as a top 4 defenseman. But if push comes to shove, that might be an option. And if they were ever to go 11-7, which I don't see them doing, I was listening to the fan. They were talking to Ryan Huska, and they were saying that Ryan Huska he does not like going 11-7. So I don't think it'll happen. But if they were to do it, the guy to come out of the lineup should probably be Farabee, because you're not taking Klapka out. You're not taking Rooney out because of the center ice and the penalty killing. And you're probably not taking Lomberg out because, I mean, he's such a glue guy, and he scored a couple big goals recently. And the fourth line has been pretty solid lately. Can't really complain too much about them. So it really comes down to kind of Farabee or maybe even Pospisil, but I've liked Pospisil's game lately. So yeah, I would be okay with them healthy scratching Farabee, because you're right, he's not doing a whole heck of a lot. He's on the second power play unit, but they don't generate a whole heck of a lot, and in part it's because of him. He's not a penalty killer. He's not a great defensive player. He's not a play driver 5-on-5. So yeah, I mean, if that were to be the case, if they were to go 11-7, yeah, Farabee would for sure be the guy for me.
And you can bring that full circle. You can bring this entire conversation full circle. Put Zayne Parekh in the lineup as a 7th defenseman. He can take that second power play from Rasmus Sanderson. There's some rest for Rasmus Sanderson. You could give Pahal an extra shift in the top 4 to give Rasmus Sanderson a little bit of help. Then you could play, you can maybe give Zayne Parekh a couple of offensive starts, give him a few minutes, and give Rasmus Sanderson some help there. Just there's ways to helping these guys out. I know Ryan Huska doesn't like the 11-7 idea, but sometimes you've got to do things you don't like for the betterment of your organization. We do it in business all the time. I do things all the time at work that I don't intend to like. I don't really like sitting down with clients and talking contract stuff, but I do it because it's for the benefit of my business and for the benefit of moving my business forward. So sometimes you got to do what you don't like to betterment for what you're trying to do here. Maybe the 11-7 is something Huska hates, but maybe it's something that might be necessary to help out for the long term of the organization here. Robert, you got 2 big games for the Flames. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, just one last thing about Rasmus Anderson. And I was just thinking, if there is a silver lining to the underwhelming season that he's had so far, it might be that if the Flames do try to sign him, the deal might not be as expensive as we thought it was at the beginning of the season. That might be the only silver lining to this whole thing, because I think heading into the year, I think a lot of people thought that he would be signing an 8-year deal, and that would probably start with at least an 8 and potentially even a 9 with the way the cap is going up and the way that his kind of career was trending. But this season has been such a big step back for him. Like I almost wonder if the Flames do try to sign him now, it's like, okay, maybe instead of an 8-year deal, could they get it to 6? And instead of it being $8 million a year, could it be 6.5? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And if they were to sign him, it feels like they're going to sign him. It feels like they're going to throw a lot of money at him, and they're going to try and do everything they can to sign him. That's just basically everything that Craig Conroy said publicly, is that they want him to be part of this long term. So it's just like, if they can get him for just as cheap as possible, and not really sort of spend a ton of money on the guy moving forward, that could be a benefit to the team long term here. Because yeah, like I said, it was trending in that $8-9 million direction, and that could have been an epic disaster. So maybe if it's in like the 6.5, 7, it kind of lessens the blow a little bit, right?
For sure. I wonder also too if they maybe put the signing on the back burner here. Get yourself right in this off season, fix what you see fix, and show us that you deserve this contract. Show us that we shouldn't move you and sign. So maybe they go down that road as well. So there's a couple of different paths the Flames can take here, but I like that from you, Robert. Maybe they do save themselves a couple of $1 million here on this deal. You got 2 games this week, Robert. Both of them could be important for the Flames. How are you feeling in the playoff chase for the Flames here? And how excited are you for these 2 games this week?
Yeah, it is going to be exciting. Tomorrow night's going to be a lot of fun to watch, both the Flames and do some scoreboard watching. So definitely looking forward to that. And, hopefully, teams like Vegas and LA, hopefully they maybe take their foot off the gas pedal a little bit. Hopefully they're just getting ready for the playoffs and they overlook the Flames, and the Flames go in there with a huge effort. And they got Dustin Wolf there, in the crease, doing his thing, and hopefully Kadri can keep going, and hopefully Sharon Govich and Coronado can keep scoring goals, and just keep the good vibes going here, because it's pretty exciting to watch here. So fingers crossed they get in. They've come this far. The whole draft pick thing is now irrelevant. It doesn't matter anymore. They can't finish in the bottom 10. So you're here, step up, win a couple games, and let's see if you can get yourself in the playoffs here.
There's one thing I like better than watching a hockey game. That's nervous watching a hockey game while scoreboard watching, because it means it's important and you love it, and that's why we watch the sport. Very much looking forward to these games this week, to the excitement, what could possibly be for the Flames. Just win, guys. That's all I ask of you. Go out there and just win. Robert, what's coming up from you on flamesnation.ca, and where can the folks find you and your work?
Yeah, I mean, based off our podcast here, I was just like, oh, I should write an article about the Philadelphia trade. So I think I'm going to dive into that maybe over the next day or two here. So maybe keep a lookout for that. But you can find me flamesnation.ca and X Twitter at Ring of Fire CGY.
And I am at Vintage Johnny 84 across your social media platforms. Don't forget to follow the show at Red Mile Rundown as well, part of your podcast rotation. And enjoy the games this week. We'll talk to you guys next week. Hopefully, the Flames are in the playoffs when we talk again next week, and we'll have a great conversation about that. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you guys.